NPP will head to a Super Delegates Congress to select the final 5 to go for the November National Delegates Congress of the party to elect a flag bearer for the 2024 general elections. Now, whoever is elected will lead the NPP, hopefully, to victory in the 2024 elections. There are so many who've put themselves up for election. At the last count, we had 10. Now, the Super Delegates Congress will trim the number to 5. Now, one of the key, aspirants in the race to lead the NPP in the 2024 elections is the former Minister for Food and Agriculture. He's also a former Member of Parliament for Kwadaso in the Ashanti region. He's not new to politics. In fact, politics run through the blood from his father, Afriyie Akoto, up until now. Now he's hoping to hold the flag of the NPP into the 2024 elections. Today, we are privileged to have him as we look forward into the Super Delegates Congress of the party. Dr. Afriyie Akoto is my guest here on JoyNews. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And how has it been? You've been touring the entire country.
Yes.
Has that put, stress on you physically and everything? Are you okay for the task ahead?
I'm more than okay. In fact, I'm familiar with going around the country, as you know, since 2017 when I was appointed Minister for Food and Agriculture. I took the decision that I was going to be stuck in the air conditioning in my office in Accra, that every year I'll visit all the regions to interact with farmers and other stakeholders like extension officers, fertilizer suppliers, agro-processors, traditional rulers and all of that. And in that time, the 5 years, because 2020, because of COVID, nobody could travel. I was good to my word and went around. The last time was on the 22nd of December, just the past year, when I completed my tour of the country with a visit to the Yana in his palace in Yendi. So through that, I have gotten to have interactions. As you know, most of these delegates are farmers. So whilst I'm doing my work, I'm also meeting them. And I also make sure that in each region I go, even if I finish the work at 10 o'clock, I'll still make time to meet the party executives to know what is going on. So through that, I've become very familiar with each and every one of the 10 and later on 16 regions, the additional 6 which were created in 2020. So it's something that I'm familiar with in terms of their problems and their troubles. And the thing is, again, I had an even closer view of the party situation in 2020, when for the 10 months that the president was campaigning, I was with him all the time. In the lead up to the last elections? To the last elections. And that gave me an even closer view of what is happening in the party. And what I saw did not impress me. I mean, you could see that our soldiers, that is the polling stations, executives, their supervisors, the constituency executives, everywhere you went, they were complaining. About what? Yenyashi, accommodate. Has it not been a clarion call since 1992? Well, no, I think the intensity this time was distinctively more shrill than before. Okay. And since then, in my campaigning to this last minute, going around the country, is the same kind of reports that you hear. So the morale of the party is down. That is what my assessment of the situation. Is that a reason for the party's, some would describe as poor performance, even though you won the last election? Yeah, but it came at a very high price. Yes. Does that explain the reason for that performance, even though you had implemented the free SHS and the planting for food and jobs, and people were of the view that we're going to just had it easy? Yeah, but that's the point that I was coming to, that the government had delivered on this promise to this country in terms of economic performance. And you've cited 2 very clear, one social, one economic intervention, which has been very popular and has a mass appeal to the people. So you would have thought that going to the people for another term, that the result would be even better than the initial one, because you'd fulfilled most of the promises. And lo and behold, it didn't happen. In fact, I consider that we nearly lost the election. Wow. And now we have 137. The difference of us being the majority is just one person who went independent from our side because of the same things happening in this party. he decided to go independent. He won, and then, of course, he had to say that he's working with us. And that's why we are a majority. Right. Otherwise, we would have been a minority.
Exactly.
And then the same thing for the speakership. That very, very high-powered person like Professor Michael Quay will go to an election with the current speaker and lost because some of our own MPs decided that they were not going to vote for him.
But that for me, Doctor, is quite interesting. That even though you had people who had gone to election, they won on the ticket of the NPP, and they had taken the parliamentary oath proudly, would still nurture some, resentment to the extent that they voted against the party's choice of a speaker.
Yeah, but that really tells you that there's no discipline in the party. What is going on is a classic example where people are publicly campaigning. High party officials are campaigning for one candidate against the instructions, the regulations of the party, and they know that nobody will say boo to them. You can't. Any institution cannot live without discipline.
You think people should endorse aspirants ahead of the elections?
No, but I mean that is wrong. It's not in our constitution. Somebody sitting somewhere can say endorsement, not a chairman of a party, and it's become free for all, and they know that nothing will happen to them. And yet, the people who have been chosen to manage this party have the authority to actually punish people for going against the rules and regulations. And they are not cracking the whip. And so everybody is doing whatever they want.
And why is it so?
Well, why is it so? Because of, it's not immediate. This is what I'm saying, that in my 4-5 years going around the country, you could sense that there is the disputes are not settled. People, they allow it to fester to the point that it becomes personal, and then that is what costs us so many seats. And when we got to Cape Central region, that's when I knew that we are in trouble. Because the old thing about skirt and blouse in the 1990s, which people had forgotten about, suddenly everywhere we went, it was skirt and blouse. And lo and behold, we lost most of the seats in Central region. So we need discipline. We need to really get this party up and going. And the morale, as I said, I detected the morale was down. And at the last minute, to be honest, I was wondering whether we were going to make it. Fortunately, we made it by this, because even our presidential candidate, who beat Mahama with over 1 million votes,
now had to settle for a little over 500,000.
Exactly. So that is what is happening in this party, and we need to really reform this party and bring it up to scratch. And my diagnosis of what is wrong with the party will come with what should we do about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question. I wanted to touch you a little bit on the discipline aspect and what you think should be done right now.
Yeah, apart from the discipline, there is the issue of money. This party doesn't have the resources of its own. And if a party which can grow over 6 million votes, and is over nearly 70 years old, cannot find a means to finance itself and has to rely on the handouts of its own government and individuals, then there's no future for the party.
And your proposal is that the party should be modeled along the ANC structures in South Africa, where it is deeply involved in business.
Yes, it has to.
Yeah.
And because otherwise, it has to have the independence of its own resources to be able to pay its workers and its activists well, and also have surpluses to develop the youth of this country, because they are the future of the party. If we cannot do that, then the future is very dim for us.
So in the absence of such a structure, when you hear some of the aspirants say that when I come, I will pay polling station executives.
How are they going to pay 210,000 people? Where is the money? Public sector, we know we've entered into an agreement with the IMF, which says that we've frozen public sector employment.
Yeah.
So, in the private sector, who is going to employ those people? And do you know how many, apart from the 210, there's 1.25 million youth between the age of 17 and 25 who are unemployed. These people, those from universities, and so it takes them an average of 7 years before they can get a job. So if you make that promise, where is the money going to come from?
Okay. Doctor, we'll stay a little longer on your plans going forward.
Yes.
Just because you've been across the country, now not to, educate them on the planting of food danger, but to tell them the reason why they should consider you as the best candidate to lead the party in the 2024 elections. We'll get into the super delegates, but just few comments on the indiscipline that you touched on.
Right.
How do you want the current leadership deal with it? We have a few days to go. And I see publications in the media, I see people, endorse certain candidates, certain aspirants with their pictures, and they even makes it appear as though they have the support of the entire region they represent in support of a particular candidate.
Yes.
How injurious is this to the future of the party in terms of unity and cohesion? And how do you want the current leadership address this matter once and for all?
You see, one, this is a very dangerous path. All those people making public pronouncements, they happen to be high government officials.
Right, cabinet ministers, ministers, party chairman.
So what happens if that candidate does not win? Because what they are doing is really egging the rest of the contestants and the country. And people feel very strongly that it is a misconduct for them to go the way they are going. And there's some kind of force being used, intimidation. I mean, I receive complaints on my trips. Those contractors who are not seen to be for this candidate, they are not paid. When they've completed their jobs and they've taken huge sums of money from the banks, and the interest rates are 35, 50, 40%, and they're being punished for just
for
saying
supporting somebody else.
Exactly. So it's
so if there's an executive whip.
Well, I don't know about executive whip. I don't know what an executive whip is. But if somebody has done a job, a contract with the government, and they are not paid, while others who declare for the particular candidates are paid.
Who is this candidate?
These are people in the party who have benefited, and the government who have benefited from the sweat of the party, because the party which wins as power in 2016 for us to form a government in 2017, and they feel that they've been let down because the jobs and the things that they were expecting haven't come. And it's not as if it's in one region or one sector. All over. I mean, I've traveled this country. Even this year, I've traveled twice or three times around the country. And they consistently, the complaint is that accommodating, and at the same time they see all these very government officials going in 10 to 20 vehicles, convoys, and all of that, and that doesn't signal. It doesn't give a good signal for the food storage. But
Doctor, this should be worrying, especially if this is a family affair, and then you have this intimidation and all those issues.
Yeah. And it's even worse than between NDC and NPP.
Have you alerted the leadership of the party?
Oh, yes. They are aware. I mean, some of these chairmen are, without any reason, they are suspending other constituency chairmen, regional chairmen suspending constituency chairmen because they don't support their candidate and all of that. It comes to their attention. Petitions are flowing into headquarters and all of that. So
is there an attempt to address it?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm not following that. Okay. I'm actually following my campaign of communicating directly with the 961 people, as many of them as possible, on a personal level, to share my vision with them and to plead with them that they should vote for me because I'm the best candidate to fix the party and then to fix the country.
And how is that going?
It's going very well, to be honest. As I said, I've been around. Every year, it's my policy to go around all the 10 regions, and then later on the 6 additional regions which were created. I go around every year except 2020 because of COVID, nobody could travel. So I'm familiar with the territory, I'm familiar with the party people, and now we're getting specifically to constituency executives, we're getting to regional executives, to the MPs and the other stakeholders who form the 961 collegiate which is going to vote on us. And as many of them as possible, I have had personal contact to convey my message. And first of all, the diagnostics, that there's something wrong with this party. And most of them agree with me. the lack of discipline, the way people are holding themselves and conducting themselves, senior party people misconducting themselves openly, and nobody saying anything. See, that's the difference. If somebody had written to say, look, ABC, it says this and this and that, we have the evidence of a video, this, come and explain yourself. Maybe people will be a bit careful, but nobody is doing anything. So anything goes. And that is what is happening. But I can tell you, while this is going on, people see the injustice in the whole thing. When I say people, I'm talking about party people. And it's really having the opposite effect.
Should the party crack the whip on those who are endorsing the aspirants?
Of course.
Some would say that is their individual right.
No. How can it be individual right if the party says that you shouldn't openly support one party, one person, and you openly declare on television, on video, and so consistently several times, and nothing is done? Inaction? So where do we go?
Is it because they are serving ministers? Because I know that your relationship with Nana Akufo-Addo days back, and your support for him was unwavering until he became president. But then also others will say that the party was in opposition then. So the difference is what? Is it because they are ministers serving government appointees? We've had chief executives who virtually left their office and are following some of their
aspirants. But you see, it's a bad signal for the country. It's not only just for NPP. It's not an NPP matter. It is a nation issue, a national issue that you are employed to serve a government, and then you leave your position, like when the vice president was going to submit his forms. Parliament shut down because all the majority MPs were in big buses and so on, the coaches to go and accompany.
And supporting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the country sees this, and it's not a good sign for us.
Now let's talk about you. Let's move away from the concerns that you've raised, which are legitimate, and I'm hoping that the party leadership will address it as you all warm up to the super delegates.
If it's not too late.
Super delegates Congress of the party. Dr. Owusu Afriyie Akoto. I mean, your family history precedes you. Are you the one the party should entrust the destiny into?
Very much so.
And why should that be?
Because I come from the root of the party. And apart from my heritage, I have served this party well. We, between me and J.H. Mensah of late, may he rest in peace, formed the Dankwa Buzia Club in London, which is now the UK branch of the NPP, in 1991. When NPP was formed here in Ghana, we changed to NPP UK and Ireland, branch of the NPP. So we've been there in this current dispensation right before the beginning. During the first Congress of the NPP at the Great Hall at Legon, I came from London to represent the UK branch, to deliver my speech. Those who were there will remember. As soon as I mounted the podium and I started speaking, lights went off. So I had to stop my speech.
Okay.
And then subsequently for another 8 hours or so. So the things were piling up that I couldn't even deliver this after that because we're running late, we're rushing through and all of that. And then having come to be a member of parliament for 8 years, Kwadasu, the people of Kwadasu in Kumasi, in opposition, all the things that NDC were doing, the government of President Mahama was doing, we were in the forefront, criticizing him on the floor of parliament, in press conferences, going around the country, so we also go so anywhere, taking our case to the people, the masses and all of that. So we did what we could do in opposition for 8 years before we came into office.
Right.
And everybody will tell you that as the ranking member, first as the deputy ranking, and secondly as the ranking member of Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs, I did what I could to oppose this regime, which was, I think I would say, the worst government we've had with a doom saw for 3-4 years continuous, and all of that, landing us with this pay or whatever they call it, whether you use or you don't use, you pay.
You pay.
I mean, if it was their own property, I don't think they would even think of signing on the dotted line. But they did, and they have landed us in billions of dollars of payments for nothing as we speak.
Yeah.
You know, so we have been very, and then of course 6 years in government of Akufo-Addo, planting for food and jobs, taking this to the farmers of Ghana to give them the new technology of improved seed and fertilizer to better their lives. I don't have to say it, but you can see from the interaction with farmers up and down the country that they were very, very happy with my administration. Not only that, it was reflected also in the national statistics that in 2021, the rate of growth of the agricultural sector was 8.4%, the highest ever in this republic, Fourth Republic. And taking it from about 1.2% in 2016 and bringing it all the way to 8.4%, when the AU target average is 6% for agricultural sector for any member. We went well beyond that.
And yet you complain that with all of this, you didn't get the needed support and resources to,
yes, to carry
do the things that you wanted to do.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know, with that, apart from the interface with the farmers to improve their productivity and the adoption of new technology and all of that, rehabilitating the extension services. I was supposed to have 4,400 extension officers. When I did the count, there were only 1,250 left, and those ones in the next 5 years were all going to go on pension. So there was virtually no extension. And extension is the link between science and the farmer. Once you cut it, science is totally off the farmer.
Right.
So I had to appeal urgently to cabinet to allow me to employ 3,000 people, which they did. Gave me 2,500, and then the other scheme for the graduates unemployed, which came in, they also added another 1,000 to it, so that we're able to re-establish the extension service of motorbikes, new vehicles for their district or extension officers, new uniforms, and all of those things. And you know, that really changed the whole face of it.
So you think the farmer today is better off than 6 years ago in terms of financial independence?
Oh, definitely. Because you see, whilst they were doing, for instance, maize, they were doing 5 bags per every hectare, a bag of 50 kilograms. 5 bags, so 250 kilograms.
Right.
With a change with the improved variety of maize, hybrid, and fertilizer, you could go up to 30, 40 bags. Okay. Can you imagine 5 bags to, I mean, multiples? So it was no longer a question of planting to feed your family, but planting to do business with the surpluses by selling and getting the money to buy clothing, things that you couldn't afford before. And you go to the northern part of the country, you go to Volta and others, even Greater Accra here, the rural areas, Sege and Nada and so on, farmers will tell you that they've never had it so good. Right,
so 2 key issues that this government implemented when it came to power in 2017, the free SHS and of course the planting for food and jobs, which you spearheaded. Now some will say that these 2 alone should be enough to keep the NPP in power for as long as it's, because in the process you've cultivated new voters whose affiliation to the party should never be an issue. Yet you are struggling to hold on to power with the slogan of breaking the 8. How are you approaching this, and how is it possible that in spite of the economic situation that we have in the country, the resentment, the NPP is still capable of breaking the 8 under you?
Yeah, because the economic situation has deteriorated so fast, so quickly. Nobody, a year before we ran to the IMF, nobody could imagine that the situation would be the case. Maybe a few people who knew exactly what was going on with the figures. But as a cabinet minister, I didn't have any information to the effect that in the next 6, 8 months, 9 months, the money will run out and that we'll be cut off from the international credit community, and that we would have to run to the IMF a bit late to the extent that we have to print money. The central bank had to print 50 billion cedis of money now
to support government.
To support the government. This is in a generation. I don't think this country has gone through that. No. So we have a tall order, and therefore the machinery that we rely on for us to retain power, which is the party, has to be retooled. And I'm saying that if the party continues the way it is, the indiscipline that we are seeing, and nothing happening to anybody, and so on, then breaking the 8 is going to be extremely difficult.
But what
I would want to do is to change the psychology of the people, of the stakeholders, by saying that this is my vision for the party. This is my vision for the nation. Vote me, give me the flag bearership, and with this vision, I can convince the people of Ghana that I'm bringing something better. So whether you've gone hungry for 7 years or whatever, forget it. You forgive us. We are going to turn a new leaf. You have to give them some hope that your rhetoric is totally different, that you mean what you say, that you are capable of doing it because they see you do it in the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
And are they listening to you?
Oh, very much. In fact, in a lot of places, especially the large farming community, I don't have to talk too much because they themselves are bearing witness that I was this, you came and this, and I meet them all the time, especially the constituency chairman and so on. Most of them, as I said, are farmers. You go to Bono East, you go to the 5 Northern region, you go to Savannah, you go to Segei and Ada in Greater Accra, go to Eastern region. People are bearing witness that, look, it's because of you now I have a 20-acre oil palm plantation because you said this here and you showed us where to go for the seedlings. It's very gratifying to know that people have that kind of confidence. Okay. And I know that those bearing witness, definitely, they have benefited. And they see that my program for the future, for the whole nation, for transforming the economy, is exactly the same thing that I've done with them. Okay. So they have their confidence. They have the confidence. And I can tell you that I'm not making too much noise. If you hear me, I don't attack anybody. I just focus on my track record and the vision I have using agriculture to transform the economy of this country. That's all I'm saying. And it's going down extremely well, I can tell you that.
So definitely you'll be counted among the 5.
Oh, that one is beyond.
It's a done deal.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's within the 5. How well I perform is what I'm thinking about now.
Sure.
It's not being a part of the 5. I don't think that is an issue. But the people of Ghana will rise up not rise up. They will get in the evening of 2026 to realize that the noise do not vote. The noises do not vote. Is the message with votes.
Yeah. Because the people who are voting are quite identified.
Yes. Oh yes.
And you'll be speaking to them.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have concerns with the register, or is everything okay with it?
The register
for the super delegates.
Oh, just 1 or 2 that we brought to the attention of the elections committee, and they've been very cooperative. They've investigated and have corrected them. So I don't have any problem. And
the party also issued some guidelines.
Yes.
One of them that ministers, MPs, MMDC should not act as polling station executives.
Agents.
And agents.
Yes.
They are also implementing a system such that the ballot will not be tracked, so that people will not be able to identify how somebody voted.
Right.
Or are these welcoming guidelines?
No, these are guidelines that we proposed.
Okay.
We proposed, the Electoral Commission accepted, the IGP has accepted. There's one introduction that you failed to give. That is, everybody will be searched to make sure they don't take any electronic thing into the booth.
Okay.
So they will do what they use the laser
scanners. Okay.
Scanners, like you're going to go onto an aircraft at the airport, the way they scan you. the same thing is going to happen to each of the 916, to make sure that you are not carrying any item which will enable you to take a picture. And physically, it will be done. The IGP has assured us that his top policemen will be distributed across the country. They will be in charge at each of the booths. He has assured us that, so that local connections between local party people and local police and so on will not work. So what we couldn't achieve by saying that we should all come to one place to vote so that everybody will see it, we have achieved through these new measures that we are taking. And that is reassuring the party across the country that yes, we are going to have a secret ballot, which is enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, by which party people have broken for their own interest. This time it's not going to happen.
And you are confident that this is on the paper. In terms of implementation, you have absolute faith in the...
But we have agents.
Yes, to implement everything according to what is on the ground.
We have 2 agents at each polling station. Our agents, each of the 10, everybody will have their agents there. So if you want to break it, the police are there. The Electoral Commission return officer is sitting there. So you come and break it and say you are taking your phone into, regardless of you are taking your phone into the booth. You see what will happen.
Do you brief you on the president's assurance that you will remain neutral throughout the process?
Who?
The president assurance that you will remain neutral throughout the process. How much of comfort does that give you?
Well, I mean, as he said, he has 1 vote. The polling station youth organizer has 1 vote. So what comfort are you talking about? It doesn't, for me, it's neutral. I mean, it doesn't make...
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, why would that... He has a vote. I don't have a vote because I don't qualify to vote. But other colleagues of mine have votes because they are members of the council, they are former executive of the national executive of the party, and so on. So some vote, some don't vote, but that's what it is.
Clearly, this is a step up from MP now to the highest office of the president. How is your family, rolling along with you on this journey?
Oh, very, very supportive because they have faith in me. They know the kind of confidence that I have in myself. They've seen me perform in the ministry and in parliament and then in my previous jobs, careers that I've followed abroad and so on. So and I have the energies.
Right.
And that's the main thing. I have plenty of energy. I mean, one of your colleagues asked me, oh, they're talking about age. I said, look, anyone should come on the tennis court for 2 hours in the sun, and I'm going to beat them flat. That's how confident I am with my health and my enthusiasm for this party. See, this party is my family. So when I see this party going down the way it's going, lack of discipline and lack of whips and all those things, it really breaks my heart. And we need to put this party on an even keel to make it much bigger, because we are the only party that can bring sustenance and development to the people of this country.
And you are the man for that job?
Well, yes, I mean, for the period that I can handle. But we are talking about years to come.
Exactly.
And we have the opportunity to carry on with the development agenda of this country.
Let me give you the opportunity to address the people of this country as we look forward to the super delegates and national delegates in November, and possibly look forward to the 2024 general elections.
Yeah, first of all, let me address the delegates, the 961. I'm saying that the vision that I have for this country, for this party, knowing what is wrong, what is really making this party go down with a low morale and so on, that I have big plans to revive their morale. And that morale revival is based on what I intend to do, to bring the principles of business and management into this party so we can generate income for the development of our party, and also to pay our activists handsomely to encourage them to work harder for this party. That is not going to come in the short term, because between 4th November this year and 7th December next year, there isn't much. But at least if I roll out my plans for this party, it's totally unique from whatever anybody has heard. And it really is simple, but very visionary in the sense that it is something that is happening elsewhere. It's not my own imagination. That we are talking about ANC, the African National Congress of South Africa, Mandela's ANC, which owns mining companies, it owns insurance companies, it owns shares in big companies in South Africa and beyond, so that they can afford to pay corporate wages, salaries to their functionaries and their activists on the ground, create jobs for them and all of that. That is the vision that I want to bring to the new patriotic party. And that will really put us on a level which will enable us to rule, not only breaking the 8, but breaking the 16, breaking the 32, breaking the whatever, to help the people of this country develop and enjoy life and standard of living like any other decent society. That's the first thing. The second is to do with my vision for the country. This country is sitting on wealth. We all know that. Hasn't been exploited. My vision is to use agriculture as the spearhead of breaking the poverty cycle in this country. We've been financing our development with debt. Pensioners, borrowing money from pensioners, poor pensioners, and borrowing money from countries abroad, and borrowing money from the international markets. And since the beginning of our republic, since the beginning from our independence, 66 years, we've had to rely on debt for our development. It won't work. It has never worked. It will never work. We have to get away from that cycle of borrowing money to fix our roads and to create our infrastructure and so on. Agriculture has the tools to be able to do that. The farmers of Ghana in the 6 years of my administration at the ministry have demonstrated to me clearly that if they are given the necessary help, they will deliver.
Sure.
And therefore, it's something that for me is a priority, that we support the farmers in whatever they are doing and create the institutions to assist them. So that's why the Tree Development Authority, for instance, has been created under my watch, which is selecting 6 crops, 3 crops, which are oil palm, coconut, rubber, mango, and shea, and then cashew. These 6 under one roof to be developed to the level of cocoa where production will be so heavy that we can earn, even in raw state, in the raw colonial state, we can earn anything between 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 billion US dollars a year, and not having to go to the IMF every 4 years on average, 17 times that we've been. We're just coming out and the ink is still not dry on the paper. So I'm coming with a very simple vision and a very simple concept, using our soils, God-given soils, the rivers, the water, the rainfall, and the teeming labor, to turn these resources into money, foreign exchange. I mean, the amount of resources that are going across, the surpluses that we've created from planting for food and jobs, going across our borders without any official sanctions. So we are talking about the informal sector, where we are exporting informally something like $100 million worth of grains to our neighboring countries, without any record in our national statistics, without any record in our national bank, central bank. But people bringing CFA and Naira and other currencies here, changing it on the black market, filling their trucks in droves of 10s and 20s and crossing our borders, and our customs people looking the other way so that it doesn't enter in our statistics. All these things need the creation of specific institutions to enable us to take care of these, to bring these into the formal sector, so that Ghana can benefit from the surpluses that we have created through planting for food and jobs and beyond. So my appeal to the delegates, this is the vision that I have. Compare it to the vision of others, and you will see that this is a very doable and very, very easily digested concept that can actually turn it around. Not the gold, not the oil that we've been hoping for hundreds of years. For the oil, we started in 2009, bringing it from under the sea. We were hoping that by now, the projections show we should have been doing 500,000 barrels a day. Where are we? We are going backwards to the 110s and so on, because we are not having enough investment in the upstream market. So the only practical alternative we have is to support our farmers to deliver to us and use that money for our industrialization, for our education, for our health, for our infrastructure, the motorways, the cocoa roads, all those infrastructure that we need in order to transform the economy. So I'm appealing to delegates using this opportunity provided by Joy FM and to say that your best bet is also Afriyie Akoto. So when it comes to it, on the 26th of August, on the 4th of November, remember this party, remember Ghana, and vote for Dr. Afriyie Akoto. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and wish you the very best. Hopefully, in some few months to come, we'll come here and I'll be speaking to you as the flag bearer of the party.
On the 5th of November, you'll be here.
You're right.
Yes.
Okay.